Well, we've got the brave adventurer at least.
Brave adventurer? You two couldn't find your way out of the village without training. Before you do anything else, you better go through the warp gate and get some practice on Geyser Rock.
We won't find any more of that dark gooey eco stuff, will we? 'Cause I'd hate to fall in again and turn into you.
Get in there before I turn you both into ferns.
So, a few days ago, I released a retrospective on the Naughty Dog era of the Jak and Daxter franchise, where I talked a bit about the best ways to go about playing these games now in 2024. The Open Goal source port on PC is shaping up to be the best way to experience these classic games, but in the meantime I mentioned that the PS4 ports were the easiest way to jump right in, with there being some caveats in how the games were emulated on PS4, leading to some visual and performance issues, mostly in Jak 2 and Jak 3. Now, while I was busy finishing the edit for that video, I somehow missed the news that Sony went ahead and released a brand new port of Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy, kinda like how Bethesda released a brand new console port for the original Doom games. So I figured I may as well take a look at this version of the game too, and see what's different, and compare it with some of the other available releases of Jak and Daxter. This won't be a review of the game itself, just the new ports on PS4 and PS5. If you want my full thoughts on Jak and Daxter, feel free to check out the retrospective I just released. It's a good video.
What wise man said that?
I did.
Now, what exactly is this new release of Jak and Daxter was the immediate question I had upon learning about its existence. As I soon found out, sadly this is not a port of the 2012 PlayStation 3 remaster, and is instead once again the original PlayStation 2 release, now running on Sony's new PlayStation emulator that it's using for all of the classic PS1, PS2 and PlayStation Portable re-releases now. This means that in this new package you get both the NTSC and PAL region releases of Jak and Daxter, a couple of screen filters, an enhancements toggle, which didn't really seem to do anything from what I could tell, along with the rewind function seen in other classic PlayStation re-releases, which is a neat addition, but honestly, I don't think Jak and Daxter is a game that really needs a rewind function. Forbidden Siren on the other hand, which also got a new re-release, I could see that benefiting from the rewind function, as that is a very challenging horror game. There is also a brand new trophy list too, that is fairly similar to the original release, with a couple of new challenges, like the odd Geyser Rock trophy, asking you to reach the top in 12 jumps or less, which isn't very hard if you use the crouching uppercut move, as it doesn't register that as an actual jump. It's not a very difficult trophy list again, and if you're a Platinum Trophy hunter, this will be great, as the PS4 and PS5 versions are two individual trophy lists.
The Demolition Duo has returned. One barbecued ammo dump, served up hot.
Much like the previous version of Jak and Daxter, I didn't notice any glaring issues with the performance or the presentation, which is a good thing. Well, I got this weird bug where Jak fell over twice, but this probably isn't an emulation thing. This does make me wonder if the issues that Jak 2 and 3 suffer from might be fixed with similar re-releases like this one, as apparently those versions were emulated in the PAL region releases of the games, and that's what was causing the emulation issues. I guess we'll see, as I think it's pretty much a given that those games will get re-released, and hopefully Jak X as well. Those games are probably going to have hellish new trophy lists though. With this re-release once again being an emulation of the PS2 original, the visuals on display essentially remain unchanged from the previous version, regardless of whether you're playing the PS4 version or the PS5 version. If you put all three of them running together side by side, it's almost impossible to notice any difference, as they're all running that original PS2 code and rendering it how the PS2 would.
They're the same picture.
The new emulator does offer one new advantage however, and that is the arcade filters, which essentially adds scan lines onto the image, mimicking the look of a CRT TV screen. This, in my opinion, actually does help the overall presentation quality during gameplay, as the CRT effect smooths over the rather messy looking filtering of the textures across the game's surfaces. You do lose the sharpness and some clarity on the characters, but since the texture filtering across the world isn't that great in the original PS2 release, I think it's a fair trade-off. This is the main reason why I'm once again disappointed that the PS3 remaster of Jak and Daxter wasn't ported over instead and upscaled to higher resolutions, as that remaster fixed the texture filtering issue seen on the PS2 version. You can see here that the textures are a lot clearer and easier to see in the PS3 version in comparison to the original PS2 release. It's kind of sad that even with this new PS5 release, the PS3 remaster still remains the most attractive looking official release for Jak and Daxter, and most people can't play it unless they still own a PS3.
Alright, cut! Where's the director? I can't work like this.
When it comes to unofficial versions, however, Open Goal still outshines any release of the game we've had, and I'd go as far as to say it's the definitive way to play Jak and Daxter if you've got a PC that can run it. Although I don't think it's particularly demanding. I think the footage of the game running on PC through Open Goal really kind of speaks for itself. The difference is night and day when you compare it to the original PS2 release. You get increased draw distances and much higher resolution textures, while still retaining the artistic language of the game perfectly. I haven't gotten around to playing Jak 3 in Open Goal yet, but Jak 2 looked absolutely stunning, with the increased clarity of the textures really highlighting the fantastic art direction of that era of Naughty Dog. This whole video is really just an excuse for me to gush over Open Goal some more, I think.
Fine, fine. Adventure away then.
Bringing it all back to this new re-release of Jak and Daxter, for people just simply wanting to check the game out, this version of the game is perfectly serviceable, and there is something kind of nice about the original PS2 version being preserved like this. This new release is also great for trophy hunters too, as you get 2 copies of the game to play through, and it's not a particularly difficult game. However, if you're after the definitive way to experience Jak and Daxter, Open Goal is still the way to go, and there's even mods now, like someone turned Jak 2 into a roguelike, which is just insane, that game's already hard enough. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider watching my retrospective on the Naughty Dog Jak games too. And as always, stay safe out there everyone, make sure you track down all those power cells for Kiera, and I'll see you all in the next video.